The man's name was Taro. He was now on his way to start his new job. Because he was wearing a Walkman, he failed to notice the yellow sports car approaching from behind at all. The sports car honked furiously behind him in an attempt to overtake. This caused him to lose his balance, and he crashed straight into a pile of garbage ahead. The stench of the garbage made Taro retch. Just then, a woman in revealing clothes got out of the sports car and asked Taro if he was hurt. Struck by her beauty, Taro quickly said he was fine. Then he turned to clean up the scattered trash on the ground. But the woman took money from her wallet and threw it at Taro, saying it was for cleaning and medical fees. Taro stood there stunned after getting the money, for the woman had given him a full 1 million yen. Feeling the money was too much, Taro tried to chase after her and return it. But the woman swatted his hand away, telling him to ride on the side in the future. After saying that, she turned around and drove away. But Taro unhurriedly took out a notebook from his bag and recorded the incident. At the end, he wrote, "The woman is terrifying." After that, Taro went to an old man to fix his bike. As it was just a minor problem, the old man didn't charge him. Just as he was riding away, two bullies approached the old man demanding protection money. At this, Taro got off his bike and marched toward them angrily. Seeing Taro leave, the bullies turned their attention back to the old man. They said even the Buddha doesn't do good deeds more than 3 times, and that they had been merciful. But Taro squatted in the corner recording it all, saying he had learned something new again. After many twists and turns, Taro finally arrived at his workplace. The woman who received him introduced the company's business to him. And when Taro saw so many beautiful girls, he felt the air here had a scent of spring. Working in such an environment must be a delightful thing. Taro was brought before the boss and greeted her warmly. But the next second he was stunned, for the woman before him was the beautiful lady he had met that morning. Taro wanted to say something to ease the awkwardness, but the beautiful boss only said 3 words.
The toilet. Right, let's get you some gloves.
He had come here to learn computers, but was assigned to clean the toilets instead. Taro suspected he was disliked by the boss. But the thought of the boss's valiant demeanor made him feel a surge of yearning. Suddenly he looked at the toilet before him, as if he had thought of something. Though he felt the thought was wicked, his body involuntarily leaned closer. And this scene was just noticed by the beautiful boss.
あなた、変態くん?
Fearing for his job, Taro immediately showed his determination. He tried to change the beautiful boss's opinion. So the beautiful boss asked him to demonstrate his abilities in front of the entire company. But the code on the computer left Taro stunned, revealing his status as a beginner. It also invited laughter from the group of beautiful women. In order to learn new knowledge, Taro immediately messed up the company. This made the beautiful boss very angry. Thinking of how hard he had studied late into the night before, Taro showed his determination again. He said he could clean the toilets, or even work without pay. Then he let out a loud shout. In this way, the beautiful boss was moved, and Taro successfully obtained the job. Having obtained the job, Taro showed great diligence. In his spare time, he would secretly study. He even didn't hesitate to ask questions when others discussed problems. He would also take the opportunity to record all the questions. His hard-working attitude soon won the favor of the beautiful boss. Just that afternoon, Taro accidentally kicked over a bucket, triggering a chain reaction. Coincidentally, a backpack fell on his head, and the contents inside intrigued him. While Taro was engrossed in his research, laughter from the young women came from outside. It was already time to leave work, so the young women planned to change clothes and go home. Taro hurriedly packed up the cleaning supplies and slipped into the storage cabinet. And Taro earnestly recorded the young women changing clothes. After some time, Taro came out of the storage cabinet and found the company empty. It was time for him to leave too. Then he noticed a computer in the company was still on. With the intention of saving costs for the company, Taro kindly turned off the switch. Feeling it wasn't secure, he unplugged the computer. But this well-intentioned act caused incalculable losses to the company. It also made the 3 months of hard work go to waste. Upon discovery, the beautiful boss flew into a rage and demanded Taro leave immediately. But Taro felt he should take responsibility for the trouble he caused. He begged the beautiful boss to let him stay, even offering to lick her shoes. This made the beautiful boss think Taro was compromising for a living. She asked where the money she gave him recently went, but Taro said it was all spent. This immediately made the beautiful boss think Taro was a bastard. Soon came the delivery date. The company worked overtime overnight, and the beautiful boss became haggard. But even so, they couldn't complete the software in a week that took 3 months originally. But with a shout from an employee, everyone gathered in front of the computer. On the computer was the software mistakenly deleted by Taro. Learning it was a disk given by Taro, the beautiful boss thought she was tricked. She thought Taro had pretended everything to make them look bad. But after checking the software, everyone realized they had misunderstood Taro. Because this software was easier to use than the previous one. And even included ideas they had discussed before. When everyone was guessing who made the software, Taro's message popped up. Only then did everyone realize Taro was a genius. The beautiful boss hurried to look for Taro, and met the old man who fixed Taro's bike at the door. After talking, she learned that Taro had given all the money to the old man, relieving the urgent need. The beautiful boss couldn't hold back anymore. Realizing she had wronged Taro again, she turned to chase after him. And after finishing all this, Taro rode his bicycle to another city. Pay attention to the girl in front of you with just a polite gesture. She made Taro smile like a chrysanthemum. At this moment, Taro didn't know that even from just one encounter, the girl had already taken him as her prey, a plaything for her amusement. Taro came to Gold City and successfully got a job at the mayor's election office. Here, the stench of money hung in the air. For the mayoral candidate was a famous local landlord, and even the local gangsters had become his henchmen. And now it was the sprint stage of the mayoral race, a time when money could even be found in the dishes. Just then, a maid approached the landlord's wife to ask for leave, saying her son at home had a fever. But the landlord's wife refused, citing the busyness of the election. Taro, passing by, offered to help with cleaning if that was all needed. And so, Taro got exactly what he wanted. He made it into the landowner's mansion, once again taking up the job of cleaning toilets. The real reason he wanted to clean was to see the girl again. Suddenly Taro looked at the toilet before him again. His mind couldn't stop wandering, and his body instinctively leaned toward the toilet. Just then, a scream made Taro plunge his head into the toilet. The one who came was exactly the girl from before, whose name was Naoko, the landlord's daughter. Though startled, Naoko still acted gentle and charming. And using the excuse that there were no towels downstairs, led Taro to her bedroom. In Taro's heart, the girl before him was an angel, a being not to be defiled. But while Taro was examining the room, Naoko behind him actually started changing clothes in front of him. All so natural. But Taro saw the entire process clearly in the mirror, making his chest feel as if it would burst. But all of this was actually planned by Naoko, who wanted to see Taro's reaction for the pleasure of pranking him. But as Naoko further flirted, Taro, reaching his limit, had to choose to flee. One day, Naoko had just finished school and happened to meet Taro at work. Naoko apologized for the previous incident. But seeing Taro's shy demeanor, Naoko decided to tease him again.
Oh my god! She's not wearing a bra!
This time Taro wasn't as lucky as before. For everything was cleverly designed, and the scenario unfolded according to Naoko's plan. While the kind-hearted Taro thought Naoko was frail and felt compassion for her. Seeing Taro fall into the trap, Naoko smiled knowingly, then gave Taro a love letter. She herself walked away shyly. Taro opened the letter, which asked Taro to sneak into her room at 11:30 p.m., saying she had something to tell him, and even thoughtfully drew a route for him. Seeing this, Taro vowed to go even if it meant death. That night Taro arrived at Naoko's room as promised. And Naoko, a seasoned green tea girl, with her hesitant manner and inadvertently shown shyness, made Taro experience the wonder of life. He thought it would be a racy little story, but Naoko only asked Taro to tutor her in math. And our honest Taro actually tutored her patiently. But this was what the green tea girl was thinking.
He's really gonna try and tutor me. What an idiot.
How deep is the scheming of a top-tier green tea girl? On the surface, she asked Taro to tutor her, but her inadvertent hints revealed her manipulation of Taro. And Taro not only worked at the office during the day, but also secretly tutored Naoko at night. Under this dual torture of mind and body, Taro felt he couldn't take it anymore. One day Naoko called Taro to her room, saying she had something important to show him. The moment Naoko entered, Taro felt as if he were ascending to heaven. Naoko appeared before Taro in a bikini, saying she wanted Taro to tutor her dressed like this today. And Taro's response was,
You can catch a cold, you know.
Little did he know that in Naoko's heart, she had indeed taken Taro as a toy solely for her amusement. The calmer Taro acted, the more excited she became. Later, during the tutoring, Naoko saw Taro often writing in a notebook behind him, suspecting it was full of his fantasies about her. So she became an actress again.
I'm dizzy. I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
Yes.
That night, Naoko opened the notebook alone, and the contents shocked her, for it clearly described Naoko's true nature, saying her innocent girl act was all pretend. Though she found joy in teasing men, deep down, she was just a lonely, pitiful girl. And it said she had an Oedipus complex, all because she wanted to take revenge on her father. Naoko was enraged. She never expected Taro to be the real acting master, who had seen through her heart long ago. Naoko was extremely unwilling to accept this and decided to retaliate against Taro. After discovering the notebook was missing, Taro searched everywhere. Finally came to the room to ask Naoko, who naturally denied it. But Naoko picked up pre-prepared scissors, and in front of Taro cut up all her clothes, finally putting the scissors into Taro's hands. Taro didn't understand, but with Naoko's shout, Naoko felt secretly pleased, as if seeing Taro kneel and beg for mercy, and hoping Taro would say he did such a stupid thing because he loved her too much. But she never expected that. Taro was a tough guy who would rather die standing than live kneeling. The result was predictable. Taro was beaten up by several burly men, but he never begged for mercy. This confused Naoko and made her feel mixed emotions, thinking Taro had really fallen in love with her. Finally, Naoko couldn't bear it anymore and frantically protected Taro with her body. When the farce ended, Taro began a new journey. On the way out, he was stopped by Naoko, who not only returned his notebook, but also promised that when Taro returned, she would be his first gift. This was Taro's new job, a hand at a noodle shop. Because the boss had hurt his arm some time ago, the responsibility of running the shop fell on Taro's shoulders. Though it was tough, with the boss's encouragement, Taro gradually found joy in it. But due to his inexperience, he often drew complaints from customers. Then the boss would step forward to apologize for Taro, saying he was young but promising, and asking for the customer's understanding. Though discouraged, Taro didn't lose heart. For every time this happened, a girl like an angel would come to him, bringing a bouquet of flowers and words of encouragement. The girl's name was Keiko, the boss's daughter. Her gentle and virtuous demeanor filled Taro with yearning. Even customers would change their opinion of Taro for Keiko's sake.
Must be good.
Of course, I'll give you another chance. Better make it good or I'll be...
Encouraged, Taro felt hopeful about the future and couldn't resist showing off his skills. One day, a man in a suit came to the shop. His every move exuded the air of the upper class. The man, named Kashima, said his investment company was nearby. So he came to visit the injured boss. Then invited Keiko to the dock to see his business cruise ship. Keiko didn't refuse, as she had a favorable impression of him. Keiko's parents also approved of the relationship. When Kashima left, Keiko chased after him to thank him. It turned out that the boss had been in a car accident, and Kashima happened to pass by and took him to the hospital. On the appointed day, Keiko met Kashima at the dock as agreed. On the vast sea, Kashima expressed his love to Keiko. Though taken aback, Keiko couldn't resist Kashima's advances. That night, Taro came out of the public bath and unexpectedly saw Kashima holding a woman in his arms. Out of curiosity, Taro followed them. He found Kashima and the woman plotting in a car. Taro hid outside the car and eavesdropped. It turned out that the woman had caused the boss's car accident. Kashima had saved the boss only to make Keiko's family feel indebted to him. And his proposal to Noriko was motivated by a desire to get her family's noodle shop. Kashima bragged to the woman that he had kissed Keiko and would win her over within a week. After marrying Keiko, he would transfer the shop to his name. Then divorce Keiko and marry the woman. Just as they were about to applaud Kashima's cunning, Taro appeared. He asked Kashima if what he said was true. But when Kashima got out of the car in a rage, Taro was already on his knees. Taro then said that Keiko's family were good people, and Keiko was a very good girl. He begged Kashima not to do such a thing, but was beaten by Kashima. Finally, Kashima threatened Taro that he was connected to the Yakuza, advising Taro to mind his own business. Keiko noticed Taro's injuries, but the kind Taro didn't tell her what happened, saying he had accidentally fallen, because Taro found that Keiko had fallen in love with Kashima. He couldn't bear to see her first love tainted and chose to suffer in silence. One day, Kashima invited Keiko to the racetrack. He took the opportunity to ask about marriage, wanting an answer from Keiko. But Keiko said she was still hesitant, as she was a filial daughter and worried about her parents. But Kashima seemed unwilling to give Keiko a chance to resist, and started making forward moves on her. Just then, the doll behind them moved.
Let's get to the bottom of things.
Not in this lifetime.
First of all, let's take things from the top.
I don't think so.
It turned out that Taro was worried when he saw Keiko go on a date. So he secretly followed her. Unable to bear seeing Keiko become Kashima's plaything, he decided to take risks to stop it. But Kashima was too aggressive for Taro to resist. Finally, with a deep kiss, he completely stole Taro's soul. Thanks to Taro's interference, Keiko managed to protect herself again. Kashima decided to back off, thinking it wiser to take a roundabout approach. Thus, this defense battle came to an end. That night, Keiko fidgeted with the flowers she gave Taro. While Taro lay sick in bed, Keiko asked how long he planned to stay at the noodle shop. Taro said he might leave when the boss recovered. But Keiko said she hoped Taro would stay. That way, she wouldn't worry about her parents after marriage. Taro was shocked to hear about marriage. He begged Keiko to think again. He casually spoke ill of Kashima, which upset Keiko. Taro was helpless. He dared not tell Keiko about Kashima, fearing it would traumatize the innocent girl. But Keiko felt Taro didn't support her, which frustrated her. As a last resort, Taro went to Kashima again, begging him to leave kind-hearted Keiko alone. When Keiko found Taro missing, she went out to look for him, and unexpectedly witnessed the scene. Kashima mocked Taro and insulted Keiko with words. Just as Kashima was about to attack Taro, Keiko's appearance caught Kashima off guard. But Taro suddenly put his arm around the woman beside Kashima, cheerfully introducing her as his girlfriend. Little did he know that Keiko had overheard most of their conversation. Even a fool would understand what was happening. Taro tried to chase after Keiko, but Kashima blocked him. Kashima said Taro had ruined his carefully planned scheme. He was about to teach Taro a lesson, but was knocked out by Taro's counterattack. Soon the boss recovered from his injury. So today was Taro's last day at work. To Taro's delight, the customers had come to like his noodles. Taro then went to Keiko's room to say goodbye. While he hesitated about what to say, the door suddenly opened. Keiko invited Taro in and thanked him, saying she had been upset before, but fortunately it was over. She then invited Taro to see the flower basket she made, saying she wanted to give it to someone she liked. But she stopped halfway. It was obvious that Keiko wanted to give the basket to Taro. But Taro played dumb, saying he couldn't tell morning glories from platycodons, making Keiko laugh. But she laughed until she cried. Taro bid farewell to Keiko's family, saying he had learned a lot. Then, under the gaze of Keiko's family, he rode away on his bicycle. Whether it was the overbearing CEO, the rich young lady, or Keiko before him, none could stop Taro from moving forward. And Taro would meet more people who liked him on his journey, and learn more interesting things. The biker beauty before him merely smiled, and Taro felt as if he had fallen in love. One day, Taro was riding his beloved bicycle, struggling to pedal up a mountain road, when a pink blur zoomed past him with a roar. He never expected to meet such a wild girl on a mountain road. Later, Taro stopped at a shop to rest, and was surprised to find the biker beauty there too. He thought it was a beautiful encounter, but her next actions showed Taro what true madness meant. Witnessing the madness, Taro exclaimed in excitement. Before he could say hello, she sped off in a cloud of dust. Taro followed her to a mountain villa, and managed to get a job there. The owner was a wealthy tycoon from Tokyo, whose family emphasized traditional etiquette, with strict rules for everything from sweeping to laundry. This was a challenge for free-spirited Taro. But none of this mattered, for the biker beauty was the tycoon's daughter. The girl, Reiko, was a different person from her wild self, exuding nobility and dignity in every move, especially her cold eyes, which made Taro shiver at a glance. Taro thought it was paradise and planned to spend his life there. But such days ended quickly. Due to his admiration, Taro secretly collected Reiko's belongings. Unfortunately, the butler caught him. They wanted to fire him on the grounds that he had ulterior motives for being there. Taro tried to argue, but the butler told him to reflect. Honest Taro admitted the truth. Thus, Taro was kicked out. But he stayed on a hillside outside, for he had a hunch that staying here, he would see Reiko's wild side again. Days passed, but Reiko never appeared. He was disappointed and running out of food, deciding to leave if nothing happened that day. Just then, Taro heard a car. He saw dignified Reiko get into a taxi. Suspicious, Taro chased after her on his bike, following the taxi to an abandoned factory, where Reiko's secret was hidden. Now Reiko had transformed into a biker girl, her supple waist twisting wildly on the motorcycle. The thrilling sight made Taro tremble. As Taro watched intently, Reiko noticed him. The expected awkwardness didn't happen. Reiko openly shared her secret. To her, motorcycles were everything. Men paled in comparison. So she only had feelings for her bike. Seeing Taro's embarrassment, she challenged him to a race. If he won, she would be his girlfriend. They went to the mountain road, Taro ready on his bike. At the start, Taro pedaled hard to keep up. But as Reiko accelerated, Taro fell behind, eating her dust. Reiko thought Taro was a fool. How could a bike compete with a motorcycle? Taro realized this too. So he decided to take a risk and speed down the slope. With two outcomes, death or winning the girl. Taro hesitated, but thinking of Reiko's wild side, he chose love without hesitation. Reiko entered a tunnel, dismissing the sports car ahead as trash. She accelerated, overtaking and nudging the car. The driver was enraged, chasing after her to teach her a lesson. Just then, Taro caught up. Thrilled to see the sports car, he took out a rope and hooked it to the car, pulled forward by its force. Reiko LED, the car chased, and Taro performed stunts behind. A cat appeared, Reiko swerved to avoid it. But the others weren't lucky. The car was forced to stop, and Taro was thrown off by the impact. But determined Taro wouldn't be stopped. When confident Reiko saw Taro again, he was riding along overhead power lines. The sight stunned her and sparked her competitive spirit. Taro seized the moment, leaping down from above, using bushes to break his fall onto the road. Nearing the end, Reiko began cheering for victory. For no one had ever overtaken her on this downhill. But she underestimated Taro's resolve. As she gloated, Taro zoomed past her. Reiko was shocked yet impressed by his graceful form. They reached the final right-angle turn, too fast to navigate safely. Taro didn't slow down, yelling "learn" repeatedly. Reiko doubted anyone could use a broken bridge as a ramp. But seeing Taro's seriousness, she decided to risk it. But at the last moment, she held back, while Taro charged forward without hesitation. Taro failed, but his reckless courage won Reiko over. Falling from such a height, she thought he couldn't survive. Just then, Taro emerged from the bushes, still pedaling toward the finish line. Reiko was stunned. Her twisted obsession had just been shattered by Taro. She was now drawn to him. Now Taro had started a new journey. Was he really giving up on Reiko? Of course not. His brakes had failed, and he couldn't stop. A graceful figure paired with a neat bob, wild glints shining in her eyes. Every bit of her catered to Taro's tastes. Taro seemed to see the African savanna behind the woman, and she was like a wild beast trapped in a human body, ready to break free at any moment. Taro followed the woman into the swimming pool, desperate to see the wildness hidden beneath her clothes. But Taro's boldness drew her attention. Thankfully, a recruitment notice on the wall diffused his embarrassment. But they were hiring swimming coaches, and naturally needed to assess applicants' professional skills before hiring. At the sound of a whistle, Taro leaped into the pool, showcasing cringeworthy swimming skills under everyone's gaze. That vigorous and agile figure couldn't help but make people give him a big thumbs up. After one lap, Taro, having swallowed much water, still had the nerve to ask how he did. The result was predictable. Seeing he wasn't hired, Taro urgently begged for a chance, saying he'd even do odd jobs. Just then, the woman Taro had followed stepped forward, revealing she was the pool's director, and refused to hire Taro. But Taro turned the tables, challenging her to a swimming match in a month. He said anyone who refused to hire him now wasn't fit to teach. Taro's words sparked the director's competitiveness, and she urged him to continue. He then offered to work and learn there without pay. If he won in a month, she must hire him as a coach. If he lost, he'd work for free for a year. Knowing it was reverse psychology, the director agreed anyway. But Taro didn't know she was an Olympic champion. So Taro stayed. His job was to help kids get used to water, and help them overcome their fears. Though Taro had come for the woman, the lovely kids made him grow to love the job. In his free time, Taro actively learned to swim. But accidents happen: motion sickness, vomiting, nose picking, and even incontinence. Though childish, he got used to it. Taro quickly bonded with the kids, but his quirky antics caught the director's eye. One day, after seeing off the last student, the exhausted Taro turned to see the director calling him. Overjoyed, Taro thought she would praise him, but she disliked his childish teaching, saying it wasn't a nursery and parents pay for real instruction. Though Taro tried to argue, the director only cared about results. Due to their differing philosophies, Taro reiterated he'd beat her in a month. Seeing his confidence, she left without another word. The next day, the director was strictly training the team. and Taro thought the students looked like trained dolphins. She was their strict trainer. Taro couldn't resist the urge to be trained, eager for her to coach him. From her contemptuous look, it was clear she didn't take the match seriously, even thinking he was flirting. But she was impressed by Taro's progress. A month ago, he was a dog paddling novice. Now he adapted to swimming. After practice, Taro was tired, but the director asked if he wanted to keep swimming. Taro said he was tired but happy to swim. This touched the director, who leaped over his head, saying she'd acknowledge him as a man if he could catch her. Taro was moved, thinking she did it for him, and swam forward with gusto. Not sure what he saw, Taro suddenly widened his eyes, feeling energized and swimming harder. But the director suddenly slowed down. Then, for some reason, she stopped shyly, praising Taro. Though caught, she wouldn't concede, saying she only used half her strength. But as she spoke, she seemed to notice something.
What were you thinking about in the sanctuary of the pool?
Thus Taro was kicked out, standing innocently in the cold. Knowing the director was angry, he had to leave, planning to return when she calmed down. One day, she noticed an unusually high number of beginners advancing, and her colleagues said it was due to new teaching methods. They went to the pool, where kids were playing a ring-grabbing game. Even water-phobic kids could dip their faces in easily. Some even slept in the water, relaxing their bodies and improving breath-holding. Watching the happy kids, the director remembered swimming with her father for the first time. When she fell in love with swimming, she wondered if her methods had been too rigid. She asked who devised the methods, and the answer was Taro, whom she'd kicked out. Before she could respond, she was interrupted. Her colleagues said parents had come to thank them, a mother and daughter who thanked her, saying their child now loved swimming. But to her surprise, the kid wanted to thank Taro. In that moment, she knew she had lost completely. She urgently wanted to find Taro, but it was too late. For Taro had already started another journey. As countless girls awaited his salvation, Taro came to apply for a job at this anime company. But the boss said those with cars would be given priority. This put Taro in a difficult position, but he claimed his bicycle was also very capable. But the boss wasn't convinced, thinking how could a bicycle compare to a car? Just as Taro thought he couldn't work here, a gentle and beautiful girl appeared. The girl named Chie said the company was badly in need of staff. Due to the high hiring requirements, no one had applied. She then spoke many good words for Taro. The boss, having been hit where it hurt, stopped giving Taro a hard time and told him to start work right away. Though it was called a production internship, Taro's work was mostly odd jobs. But he didn't find it boring at all. Because the company occasionally produced adult-oriented animations, Taro was a master in this field. He had a fierce discussion with the original artist about the depiction of female breasts. Taro's unique insights convinced even the original artist. One day, a haughty woman came to the company. Taro learned from Chie that these two were the anime's sponsor and original author. And the man was the author of the super popular manga Golden Girl. Their purpose was to inquire about the production progress, because there was only a month and a half left until the delivery date. Thus Taro's work increased more and more. He also understood why the boss wanted someone with a car. Because everyone worked different hours, Taro had to stay in the company all day. To meet the deadline, the original artists often worked overtime. Considering the problem of balanced nutrition, Taro decided to cook a dinner for everyone himself. This scene was just seen by Chie coming out of the toilet, who praised Taro as a considerate man. But when Chie left, Taro looked at the toilet and fell into thought. His body involuntarily moved forward. Suddenly the boss walked in, and startled Taro almost hurt him by mistake. Fortunately, the boss wasn't angry, just gently caressed him a few times. After cooking, the physically and mentally exhausted Taro began to clean. Seeing his colleague's messy desk, he kindly wanted to tidy it up. The colleague was overjoyed when he found out and quickly thanked Taro. Of course, not everyone was so violent. At least Chia would gently treat his wounds. She educated Taro not to touch other people's things casually. Taro said he had learned. Just then, the haughty woman came again. She questioned the boss, demanding to know why things were moving so slowly. The boss didn't dare to offend the investor. He could only meekly ask for more time. At this time, Chia warmly served the woman a cup of coffee. But the woman accidentally knocked it over. Fortunately, Taro was quick-eyed and controlled the situation in time. Although the woman enjoyed it, she still left a harsh word when she left. She said that if they failed to deliver as stipulated, she would destroy the company. Due to the investors' dominance and unreasonable demands, Taro's company fell into a predicament. According to the original progress, it was definitely impossible to deliver on time. So the boss decided to reassign work for everyone when the supervisor came. But at this time, Taro received a phone call.
Boss, the director's been hit by a car and is in the hospital.
The supervisor's accident made the company depressed, and everyone thought it was too late. Taro cheered everyone on. But there were too many problems, and some things couldn't be solved just by cheering. The complaints of the crowd made Taro at a loss. But he suddenly heard someone say that the production company could speed up the anime's progress. This sentence awakened Taro, and he hurriedly looked for his notes. Then he made a phone call, and the other end of the phone made a surprised sound. After hearing Taro's difficulties, the beautiful boss agreed without hesitation. Taro proved the strength of interpersonal relationships with his strength. After learning that there were difficulties in movements, he immediately called the beautiful director. Seeing that Taro hadn't given up, Chia felt her own fighting spirit reignite. Then it spread to the whole company, and everyone was full of energy. After learning of Taro's difficulties, Keiko also brought udon noodles to reward everyone. Keiko's encouraging words made everyone feel like a spring breeze, and they had the energy to work. But new difficulties arose again. Seeing that the delivery date was approaching, but the final delivery time was too late. The boss handed over the last hope to Taro. But Taro was not Huang at all, because Reiko had been waiting downstairs early. Finally, the broadcast day arrived, but everyone watching had a solemn expression. Taro caught on as well, and a wave of panic hit him out of nowhere. The reason was that he had secretly modified the content during production. When the anime ended, warm applause broke out in the audience. Even the original author was very satisfied with the anime. Suddenly a loud shout came from outside the door, saying that Taro was missing. Even the bicycle and luggage were gone. The confused boss asked Chia if she wanted to go together. Chia said she wouldn't go because she still had work to do. But Chia, who returned to the company, secretly shed tears. But at this time, Taro had embarked on a new journey. But behind him, there were many beautiful women chasing his figure. At only 25 years old, Taro was a dropout from the Faculty of Law at the University of Tokyo. But he completed all credits in advance and took the initiative to drop out. After that, he rode his bicycle to various workplaces, flirting with various beautiful women. He became a man who had loved deeply but left no trace.